The Suns, that competition is high. They had a 9-game winning streak going into last night's game. That was, of course, snapped with that loss. Chris Paul, Devin Booker combining to go 10 for 40 from the field. CP3 had been away from the team, right, in those health and safety protocols for 11 days. So we expected him to not quite have his wind and all of that. And you saw that during the game. Book wearing a mask to protect that broken nose he suffered in game 2. He broke the nose in 3 places, people. This was him talking about it after the game. Take a listen.
That was probably the worst part. It's a procedure that they usually say they put you under for, but we had a flight out a couple hours later, so they just numbed it up all over the place. It felt like eight shots to numb it up, and then they go in there and put it back. They break it again. They break it back in place. So the nose feels fine. So we lost the game.
So there's a lot of things to point to there, right? But Perk, for you, what was the biggest reason the Suns were not fully themselves in that game?
Well, they were uncomfortable. They were playing on their heels all night long. And that's credit to the Clippers, but I think you got to give a lot of credit to Zubac. He was the best big on the floor last night. He outplayed Ayton on both ends of the floor. I thought he did a great job of diving to the basket. T. Lue rolled with him. I thought he did a great job in his pick and roll defense. I thought he did a great job of going verticality, attacking the offensive glass, putting pressure on his Phoenix Suns team. So when Ayton went to help, he was there to clean a lot of things up. He was the unsung hero in that game last night for the Clippers.
Yeah, no, I think it was the backcourt. This was the first time that the Phoenix Suns, like one of their guys didn't get going, right? This was the first time they're both backcourt. And then even when Chris Paul was out, Cameron Payne was stepping in like he was Chris Paul. So it was like you weren't just missing much. That backcourt has been on absolute fire. And this was the first game that the Clippers put that pressure on them, and they didn't have the answer. This was one of them didn't have the answer, or Devin Booker didn't get Chris Paul to the fourth quarter, so Chris Paul can do what he does. This was the first game that I saw them put that pressure and keep that pressure on.
Well, so you mentioned Cam Payne. He did not play in the second half because he twisted his ankle.
Only 4 minutes in the game.
And we don't know how bad that ankle injury is, right? I mean, LeBron James missed quite 46 weeks with an ankle injury. It ended up being closer to 6. If this is a high ankle sprain, he could be looking at not playing the rest of the series. If it's just a twisted ankle, he could be back tomorrow. But Chris Paul is the one I want to ask you about, Wilbon, because you have spent so much time watching this man play. Do you think the not quite Chris Paulness we saw last night is going to be gone by game 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We sat here at this set last night before the game, and it was a little warning. Perk said, hey, listen, you've got to play yourself out of that rust. It took a half or a little more, and he still wasn't all the way out of it. Yeah. Do I expect to see the Chris Paul that we saw in the previous 2 series? I do. And the question is, how long does it take to get adjusted? Did either one of you ever have to wear a mask? Richard, you had
no,
you didn't.
No, not like this situation. I think you had to wear it for one game because you might something, but yeah, those masks. It like again, Rip Hamilton made it famous, and he was just like he wore it all the time.
He wore it after he needed to.
Yeah,
I covered that team.
He kept it going.
Wore it. He was just like, well, now I'm comfortable in it. I'm going to keep it on.
But guys, historically,
it takes a while to get. So Booker had, and it sounds like excuse making. The first thing was that defense. My goodness, Reggie Jackson plays some of the best defense. And Reggie's a plus defender anyway, but he last night he was on it. Paul George. They had an ensemble, a rotation of those guys on Devin and on CP. Yeah. That's going to be something to get away from. I'm wondering what adjustments they're going to make, and it's harder to make them without Cam Payne. Remember, Cam Payne's coming off a game where he had 28. 9 and no turnovers. That's a Chris Paul game. Yeah. Where are they going to get that from if he can't be that effective?
But maybe he'll be back. We have zero idea of the severity of that injury. It could be really bad. It could be not bad at all. We will find out in the next 24 hours. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.